John Bush here with Texans for Accountable Government. Just wanted to give Austinites an update on what's going on with Texans for Accountable Government's efforts to limit the ability of the Austin Regional Intelligence Center to negatively affect us and to impact our privacy and civil liberties. The Austin Regional Intelligence Center is a fusion center, which is basically a multi-jurisdictional effort to share information and intelligence across jurisdictional lines, local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies. Now, the Austin Regional Intelligence Center, before it goes forward and becomes operational, right now we're in the process of creating and signing the interlocal agreement with the City Council. Before it went to the City Council, they had it go through the Public Safety Commission, which is a newly created body meant to vet some of the public safety issues in the City of Austin. Texans for Accountable Government has showed up to every single meeting that they've had since its inception. And we have showed up with massive numbers, about 15 to 20, sometimes 25 people. We've had our voices heard, but unfortunately the Public Safety Commission, our voices fell on deaf ears. They went ahead with an endorsement of the Austin Regional Intelligence Center. They recommended that the council move forward. There's a vote coming up on May 27th to sign the interlocal agreement, which basically makes the Austin Regional Intelligence Center operational. So what we're hoping to do in the meantime is send the message to the Austin City Council that there's still some key issues, some major holes that are yet to be explored fully and vetted. The Public Safety Commission, many of the members didn't even read the interlocal agreement or the privacy policy before passing on their recommendation. Well, we've read it multiple times, of course, and there's some three gaping holes that we're hoping to address. The first of which is the fact that the Austin Regional Intelligence Center will be an all-hazards fusion center. Fusion centers began combating terrorism. They went on to take an all-crimes approach where they would just deal with crimes or the potential for crimes, reasonable suspicion of a criminal activity. Now they're taking on an all-hazards approach, and in Austin, the Austin Regional Intelligence Center fulfills this through a public safety mandate. And basically what that means is, on top of collecting information that has to do with the criminal investigation, they'll also be collecting information of a non-criminal nature. For example, in order to prevent a pandemic flu, they could get access to your immunization records. Or in order to track and trace a salmonella outbreak, they could go to your shopping cards or your Randall's card and see your purchases of the different meats and whatnot that you've bought. Also, potentially in the future, they could get access to your banking records if we have some sort of economic collapse or a currency crisis. And this, right now, as the Fusion Center, as it's written in the privacy policy, all of this stuff is open game. Of course, Texas law prohibits the type of information sharing with law enforcement and other health agencies and whatnot, but it's just one session away from passing a bill like that. So we're calling on the Austin City Council to drop the all-hazards approach. We don't feel that it's appropriate for Austin. We feel it'll put the City of Austin potentially having lawsuits brought up against them because this is such a blurry legal matter. So we're against the all-hazards approach. On top of that, there's something called suspicious activity reports, which will be incorporated in the Austin Regional Intelligence Center. Now, right now, the City of Austin participates in the TIPS program, where they get information on criminal activity that happens, or if somebody sees something suspicious, they call it in. But what the suspicious activity report would be is basically the nationwide suspicious activity reporting initiative is calling on all local law enforcement, especially through the fusion centers, to begin collecting information that's indicative of non-criminal activity that may show pre-operational planning. For example, if somebody's taking a picture with no apparent aesthetic value of some sort of critical infrastructure like a bridge, in Los Angeles, which is, they did a pilot program, which they say is the model city for this suspicious activity report nationwide initiative, they actually called on police officers to collect information when people are espousing extremist views, which can be construed to be just about any type of First Amendment activity. So that's something we're definitely concerned with. It creates a new standard for law enforcement to collect information on we the people, whereas before the Fourth Amendment standard is reasonable suspicion. A police officer has to believe that you have violated a law, reasonably suspecting, he has reasonable suspicion to believe that you have potentially violated a law. Well, this new standard is basically if your activity is reasonably indicative that you may potentially commit a crime. So it's definitely going in the wrong direction, away from what our founding fathers intended with the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution. And the third area of interest is accountability. Unfortunately, with the latest Key Point revelations, the big scandal and cover-up surrounding the Nathaniel Sanders shooting, the Austin Police Department unfortunately has to do a lot more work to gain the trust of the community. That goes for the City Council as well. So within the Austin Regional Intelligence Center, there's some auditing, annual audits. However, the audit will be performed by the Austin Police Department, who's the executive of the Fusion Center itself. So we say that's like a fourth grader, who's left to grade his own test. A lot of the times you're not going to be able to take that, and they're not going to be 100% pure, as we've seen with the Key Point report. Not only that, but it's the jurisdictional lines on who could be held accountable if there's abuse by one of the staff of the Fusion Center. Do we go after the Austin Police Department? Do we sue the City of Austin? Do we sue the city, do we sue Williamson County if it was a Williamson County sheriff that was stationed at the Austin Regional Intelligence Center? All of this stuff is still yet to be completely drawn out. So we brought these grievances to the Austin Police Department. We met with Christy Orr, she's the city attorney, and Assistant Police Chief Chief Carter, and the meeting went well. Chuck Young and I, along with Judy Powell, we laid down our recommendations, many of the concerns that I just brought up, and they took a lot of them into consideration. We believe the next edit of the privacy policy in a local agreement will include some changes that will give the Privacy Advisory Committee more independence, more oversight. Also, the privacy officer, we're hoping that will be more of an independent role, not necessarily appointed by the Austin Police Department itself. Also, we discussed the all hazards approach, which they're not 100% sold on, it seems. We still have the opportunity to back away from the all hazards approach, and this would just be an all crimes fusion center. Not all fusion centers of the 72 in the country are all hazards. So we're definitely making some leeway. I want to give a big thanks to all the activists and supporters that have been showing up to the Public Safety Commission meetings. While the Public Safety Commission still is remaining hard-headed, we're definitely having an impact in the media and in the eyes of the council as well. Texans for Accountable Government is continuing to look out for the privacy and the civil liberty of the community. So we hope that you'll join us on May 27th to show up to the City Council meeting. In the meantime, we're also going to be calling on people to participate in some phone calling campaigns, some letter writing, and some faxing, some emailing to our council members to tell them to slow down. We need to delay the signing of the interlocal agreement before we address those three big issues that we just discussed. So again, it's going to be May 27th at City Hall. You can check out tagtexas.org for more information. We hope to see you there. Again, thank you for participating. John Bush, Texans for Accountable Government. Freedom.